Hey, what's up, guys? Chad Hermansen here with Mental Edge Training Coach. Today, I'm going to be talking with Perry Hill. Perry is world renowned as one of the top fielding instructors in all of baseball. He is now currently working with the Seattle Mariners as their first base coach and infield instructor. So we're going to go through, talk a lot about fielding, what it takes to be a good fielder, what is the mindset of a good fielder. So enjoy this conversation with Perry Hill. Also wanted to make sure you're aware of my new Mental Edge video vault that's just come out. You can go to mentaledgetoday.com where I provide 40 plus videos and counting for you to start working on your mental game. And I will personally help you while you go throughout this membership with live weekly Q&A calls that we get on. Right now it's every Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That time subject to change. But make sure you check that out at mentaledgetoday.com. What's up, Mr. Hill? How are you doing today?
Good, Chad. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I appreciate you coming on board. You're out in Seattle, correct?
Yes, I am. It's about 4 or 5 days away from reporting to sunny Peoria, Arizona.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Yeah, we spent a lot of time down in Peoria over the last few months because that was, in a way, I guess St. George, Utah, and Phoenix were like the only two spots around Las Vegas that our amateur players could go and play. So we spent a lot of time down in Peoria, and we always go out there for the Arizona Fall Classic when I was scouting out there. So you are now currently the infield instructor, and are you the first base coach as well for the Mariners right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell us, how did you become Perry Hill, the infield guru?
Well, I don't know about guru. I got the title of infield coach. I think we'll just probably keep it at that. I don't know, Chad. I just, I was at the right place at the right time. I just got lucky, to be honest with you. I was, I started out, I was coaching I was a rookie league coach in Tri-Cities, Washington, in the Northwest League. It was a short season A club. And we won the championship in '84. And then I kind of fooled some people in the organization. They elevated me to the infield, the coordinator, the rover. And then I did that for about 6 or 7 years, and I kept fooling people. And before you know it, I got lucky and got a big league job. There was no magic. I just kind of just really fell into it as the right place at the right time.
Okay. And I've watched some of your teachings and your coaching, and it certainly seems like this is your thing. Like you have a passion for this. Where did that come from?
Just the love of the game, just like you. It's when I was 5, 6 years old. I just want to play baseball. I played all sports, but I liked baseball, and I knew someday I wanted to make a living somehow related to baseball. I thought I was going to be a major league player. That didn't work out, but I that doesn't really bother me. I just wanted to be in the game in some capacity because my passion for the game, as you mentioned, and also I thought I had some value of teaching. So. Like I said, the cards just fell kind of right, and I landed on my feet.
That's awesome. Now, how long have you been with the Mariners?
This is my third year with the Mariners. And I've previously been in Texas, Detroit, Montreal, and I was with the Marlins, Florida, switched over to the Miami Marlins for 13 years. And I was in Pittsburgh for 1 year.
For one, that's right. Yeah, you've been around the block. You've like a lot of us in baseball. It's difficult to stick with one organization. There's so many changes and things that go on.
Yep.
Now, when I reached out to you, I felt terrible because you're like, "Hey, Perry, I'd love for you to come on the show," and you're like, "Yeah, I met you when you were like 20 years old, or something like that." In the
yeah.
So, do you remember that? What was that? You
yes.
Remember that? I don't remember.
Yes.
So I apologize.
Yes. No. I believe you were with Pittsburgh, and I think you ended up with the Cubs, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
For a short time, like 2 months.
Okay. Well, you were obviously been an infield guy. I was in Montreal, and you were in Pittsburgh. It was around the batting cage one day, and obviously I knew you were a number 1 pick shortstop, and so I watch other infielders, what they do, and maybe something clicks one day. I say, I like what he does. And so I'll talk to him or the infield coach on the other team and try to exchange ideas. And So I was just amazed that a 19, 20-year-old was already in the big leagues playing shortstop. I believe you were 20, maybe
So I
21, maybe.
so I got to the big leagues at 21, but by that time, because I'm wondering if it was like the fall league or something we met because I actually never played infield in the big leagues. I got moved to the outfield when I got to Double A and played a little bit at second base when I got to Triple A, and then in the Arizona Fall League. So I'm wondering if we met there at some point. Did you ever coach in the
That
Fall League?
No, but I was out there. So,
Okay.
yeah. So that might have been too. That's 20 years ago, Chad.
It's a long time, man. I don't remember what I had for lunch yesterday, right?
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. That's right. But as coaches, we know who the number one picks are, and we know who to zero in on, and try to find something maybe that they do. I mean, it's really hard to be in the big leagues when you're 20, 21 years old. I mean, you should be commended for that. There's a lot of guys that, like me that don't ever get there. And a lot
Right.
of other guys, they don't get there till 25, 26, 27.
Yeah. No, it was I felt like I was ready, but my brain wasn't. And
Mm-hmm.
that's actually something I wanted to chat with you about. And we'll get to that, but I would love to have you share with, if we have young kids watching, like in the high school, young club ball age, you have some interesting takes on how to field and kind of keeping it simple. You have the 6 F's. You mind running that through that with us? And what does that mean?
Well, uh, I'm not the sharpest hack in the box and never will profess to be. So I had to come up with something simple uh, to teach. And at the same time, I wanted something simple that would be easy, to learn. All the players aren't the same. You come from different countries, different backgrounds, and we just can't, put a stamp on, a lot of people can learn verbally. A lot of people have to learn by visually. I'm a visual learner. You can talk to me all day long, and that's fine. I'll pick up bits and pieces, but if you show me, I think I can probably figure it out in time.
Right.
So the 6 F's is basically a demonstration way of teaching infield play. And so that's kind of the way I came about it. Yeah, I was trying to think, and fielding starts with F. Let's try to get everything to start with an F and try to keep things. So during the course of a game, if something goes wrong, I can say one word that would like eliminate all the confusion. So the purpose of the 6 F's is to declutter the mind, if you will. And so I liken it to different skylines. You can make Chicago, Pittsburgh, Miami, New York, and you see all these different buildings. They're beautiful, different shapes and pyramids and steeples, and some of them are all glass, but they all have one thing in common, and that's the foundation. They all have a good, firm foundation. All the foundations are built the same way. I got the good, firm dirt, clay. You put the rebarb wire in, then you pour the concrete. They all may be different shapes, but they're all built the same way. And so it's my theory is that if I can teach every player and build a foundation, then I can let him go on and do his thing. But if anything ever goes wrong, I have somewhere to go back and fix it. You get a lot of guys that, you just say, well, let them play, and good. But if something goes wrong sometimes, if they don't know what they do, if they have no rhyme or reason to it, that's really hard to fix. And in my opinion, that's why some guys get the thing. And that's why some guys, go through fielding slumps because they have nothing to fall back on. They never had a structure. They just did it. Right. And they got away with it because they were probably the best player in high school. They were probably the best player on their college team. And now they're up against guys that are just as good or better than they are. And now the mental side takes over. Oh, shoot, what do I do? How am I going to fix this? Oh, no. And then it just all crumbles. So I came up with the 6 F's as a foundation so all of that wouldn't happen. So that was a long way around getting to your question, but I can go over the 6 F's if you would like.
Please do.
Well, it's kind of like growing up. We did outlines. You had Roman numeral number 1, then you had A, B, and C. Mm-hmm. Roman numeral number 2. So this is going to go like in kind of an outline form. And so Roman numeral number one, everything I talk about starts with the letter F. So Roman numeral number one is feet. What takes you to the ball? Not your glove, not your arm, your feet take you to the ball. Okay. How can I get to the ball as quickly as possible? So that's what some people would call the ready position. Making sure you're on the balls of your feet when the ball's in the hitting zone. Now, I don't care how you do it as long as it gets done. Some guys can just stand stationary and then bounce up on their toes when the ball's approaching home plate. Some guys walk into it. I don't care how it gets done, Chad, as long as you're on the balls of your feet when the ball's in the hitting zone. The one I prefer is the one that tennis players do. You know, like when the pitcher makes his first move, I like the infielders to get his hands off his body and slightly bend his back.
Yep.
And when the pitcher's arm starts to go forward, they take a small step with either foot and then they separate their feet, just like a tennis player does when he's serving.
Yep.
You know, they're swaying back and forth. And then once that they see the ball toss up and that racket go forward, they take that small step and separate where they can move either way. And that's the way I prefer it. But I don't care how the player does it, as long as he's on the balls of his feet when the ball's in the hitting zone. Okay. And I always try to, everything I teach, I try to liken it to other sports because it may click into a player like that. And so this is like a relay race. So when you're passing the baton, is it quicker to be stationary, receive the baton, and then take off? Or is it quicker when he gets to a certain mark, I'm going to take off and I'm already moving, and then I get the baton? Yep. Well, obviously it's the second one. So it's the same way in your ready position. I want to be moving before the ball is hit. So I want to be on the balls of my feet right before the ball gets to the hitting position. So the first F is feet. Yep. Okay. Now in the course of a game, Chad, instead of saying all of that, I do that as an introductory part. Okay. But now in the course of a game, guy comes off the field and he's the third hitter that inning. He's getting his gloves on. He's worried about hitting a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. I don't have time to sit down on the bench and explain to him everything I just told you. Correct. So now the power of the 6 Fs is I've just told him everything in spring training. We've ironed all this out. Now during the course of the season, as I go out to coach first base, I walk by this player and I say, feet, ready position, and I take off. That tells him, oh, shoot, I must have been flat-footed that inning. Small, separate. Yeah. Arm goes forward, small, separate. I got to start moving. So I don't have to sit down and explain a whole big thing or take up his mental time when he should be worrying about what he's going to do when he gets to the plate. Now I got one word as I walk by him, and it just clicks in all that information.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So the second F is field. You know, their feet take you to the ball. Once you get to the ball, you're going to field the ball. Okay. And so this is the way I explain it, is that if you want to be a good hitter, you have to see two things at the same time. You have to see the ball and the bat. If you don't see those at the same time, you're not going to hit, period. Two things, if you want to be a good quality, consistent infielder, you have to see two things at the same time. You have to see the ball and you have to see your glove. Okay. Now, when I was growing up, I used to have coaches scream at me all the time. Get your butt down, get your back flat, get your hands out front. Whoa, I got a ball coming at me 90 miles an hour on the ground, and I got to worry about where my butt is, how my back is, and where my hands are. So when I was breaking this down and doing the 6 Fs thing, I said, you know what? I got to declutter the infielder's mind. He can't be thinking about all that stuff. And then if his butt is too high, he can't come off the field and have a coach get on his butt, you know, about his positions. So it's got to be an easy way to do that. And so the easiest way is that when you decide to break down, you know, you lead that right, left, and you break down to field that ball, your feet have to be 2 to 3 inches wider than your shoulders. If your feet are 2 to 3 inches wider than your shoulders, your butt is automatically down, your back is automatically flat, and your hands are automatically in front of your body. So now, instead of saying all that stuff I just said, I walk by the player in the course of the game and I say, field wide. So if I see him narrow, he loses track of the ball. Now, if you can picture this, Chad, and you'll be able to relate to this because we've all done this. Sometimes we're not wide enough, and the ball will hit us in the heel of our glove or our wrist. Yeah. You know, and we'll walk down. That's a bad hop. Well, if you put your thumb on your wrist and your forefinger in the pocket of your glove, that's only about 2 inches. It wasn't a bad hop. We didn't catch it because we didn't see it. So the ball at the last 5 or 6 inches did something. We didn't see it, so we couldn't react to it. That tells the infielder that he's too narrow. When you break down wide, your hands should be so far out in front of your body that as you see the ball coming, you tracking the ball, you can see your glove peripheral vision. If you can't see those two things at the same time, you have what I call the blind spot. And if you have the blind spot and the ball does something at the very last second, you're not going to see it. Therefore, you can't react to it. When you go to a big league game and you see an infielder going to reach up and catch a ball all of a sudden, even with his shoulder way up here, that's not luck. That's by design. Because he was broke down wide. He saw the ball. He saw his glove. He saw the hop. He reacted. Mm-hmm. The infielders who have narrow bases that can't see their glove at the same time they're tracking the ball don't see those bad hops. So they don't react. And that's the balls that hit them in the wrist or the heel of the glove.
Sure. You ever have players that maybe if you've done camps or clinics, like the younger player, you say wide, do they over exaggerate that ever and get way too wide?
But and a lot of times I won't even say anything about that because the coach will scoot them back in later, but I'd rather them be too wide than narrow.
Yeah.
Because when they're wide, they will actually be able to see their glove. And that's one of the things I do when I talk to kids. I'll put a ball down way up in the front of the room and tell everybody to get wide. They can see the ball in their glove at the same time. And I say, now get in your fielding position. And a lot of them can't see their gloves. So it clicks in their mind, you know what? I've got to get wide. This is what I got to do, be able to see the ball and the glove at the same time. Yeah. And it sounds really elementary, but it's really hard to do sometimes. It has to be like a thought process. So it was my theory, once again, instead of telling an infielder to get your butt down, get your back flat, and get your hands out front, I just say the word wide. Get wide. If you get wide, all those things happen automatically. And therefore, the teaching's simple. So once again, in between innings, the guy's getting ready to hit. I want him worried about watching this guy on the mound. I don't want him worried about me coming down saying, hey, look, your butt's up in the air, your back is not flat. It looks like your hands are really in too far to your body. You're going to get in trouble later in the game. You're not going to be able to catch a ball. Blah. I just walk around and say, got to get wide, field wide. And then all those things happen automatically. He knows if he gets wide, he didn't have to worry about where his butt is, where his back is, where his hands are.
Right. No, that's great. It's eliminating, like, in the different parts of the mental game. And I think this is exactly what you're saying too. That's all interference. It's all extra stuff, right? So how do we getting it down to one word and simplifying?
Right. I just call it decluttering is what I call it. Right? And it seems like, if you're listening to me talk now, you say, wow, it's a lot of stuff, but it is the first time I explain it and demonstrate it. But once the player learns it, then it becomes a one word thing. All this I'm saying is in his mental bank. And when I walk by a guy and I say field wide, the second F is field, he knows he's got to get wider. He knows that either his butt's up in the air, his back is not flat, his hands aren't in front. Then he can correct it himself in the course of the game.
Right. Okay.
I got to speed up, don't I? I'm getting,
we got all the time in the world.
But this is how I explain it in spring training. It's lengthy the first couple of days, but once the first couple of days are out of the way, then the rest of the season's a piece of cake. It's all one word. Yeah. It's all one word coaching. Okay. Well, the third F is funnel. Our feet take us to the ball. We break down, we funnel. We break down, we field the ball. Okay. Now we're going to funnel the ball. We catch the ball out in front. We're going to bring it right here to the bottom of our breastbone, right there in our sternum. And here's the reason why. My opinion. Anytime you throw anything, you throw it from your sternum, your sternum. If Chad, if you and I were going to fight, which would be a mismatch, I'd be on the floor really quick. But I asked you to fight, where are you going to hold your hands?
Right there.
In the middle of your body.
Yeah.
Right where your chest is. If you're going to quarterback and you take the snap or you get a shotgun, you go back to pass, where does the quarterback hold the football? In the middle of his body. Go throw a pass in basketball. Where do you throw the pass from? In the middle of your body. If you're playing catch in the backyard and you throw the ball over here to my left, I catch it. Where am I going to take the ball before I throw it? I'm going to bring it to the middle of my body. The other hand's going to meet it. I'm going to take it out and throw it back to you. If I'm a pitcher, whether I'm overhand, 3/4, sidearm, submarine, where the last place my hands are before I separate them, the middle of my body. So why should an infielder be any different?
Mhm.
I see a lot of infielders catch the ball and they take it away from their body. Now, the reason I like to bring it to the middle of my body, I call this the perfect throwing position based on everything I just talked about, the boxer, the football player, the basketball player. So if I funnel this ball to the middle of my body, Chad, and now I break, here's the key word, and now I break thumbs down. That's the key word, thumbs down.
Mhm.
4 things happen automatically that I never have to think about again that are essential of throwing the ball straight. 4 things happen automatically. And you can even act it out there with me. As I funnel the ball here to the middle and I break thumbs down, I've got a front side.
Mm.
It's going to get out of its way on its own, but there's my front side. That keeps me from turning my upper body. I don't want to turn my upper body. There's my front side. The other thing, it makes my arms short.
Right.
As infielders, we can't have long arms like a pitcher and an outfielder. Pitchers want to get arm speed. Outfielders have to throw out guys, 180 feet, first to third, second to home. We as infielders, I call it 70 feet. It's 90 feet from home to first. But by the time we catch the ball, these guys are 15, 20 feet out of the box. So I got 70 feet to work with. I don't have time to drop my arm and wind up. So if I funnel and separate thumbs down, my arm stops short for me. Right. The other thing it does, it makes my elbow the same height as my shoulder. My elbow is automatically up. And the other thing, the 4th thing it does, it puts my hand on top of the ball. Mm. So let's talk about those real quick. I got to have a front side to throw. My arm is short. Why does my elbow have to be the same height as my shoulder? When I was growing up, Chad, I can remember this. I was 12 years old, and one day a coach told me to get my arm up before I threw. And I went out and I had it straight up in the air. I didn't know what he meant. I didn't know what it meant. Get my arm up. And he asked me what I was doing. He couldn't explain it to me. So basically, he probably read it in a book or something, and he didn't know how to explain it. Your shoulder has to be the same height as your throwing shoulder. If it's lower than that, look what it does to your hand. It now puts your hand under the ball or on the side of the ball. If you funnel thumbs down, your shoulder is automatically the same height as your elbow is automatically the same height as your shoulder, which keeps your hand on top of the ball. Hmm. Now, why is that important? Why do I want my hand on top of the ball when I take it back? Because without thinking, automatically on release, my hand's going to be behind the ball. Right. And that's where I get power. It's like if I put you underneath a Volkswagen and I said, push this Volkswagen off you, Chad. You couldn't do it. Right. But if I said, Chad, get behind this Volkswagen, this little Beetle, and push it, I bet you could move it. The difference being your power is when you're behind something, not when you're under it. Right. So the players who sling the ball away from the middle of their body, watch, they lose their front side, their arm gets long, more times than not, their elbow is below their shoulder, which puts their hand on the side of the ball. And those are the guys that get that little tail or that sink. Mm-hmm. And they wonder why.
That's me.
Why.
That was me.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's because your throwing action made your hand get on the side of the ball. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to get over here under the ball and then get on top of the ball before you get to the release point. That's really hard to do. So what I do is I teach funnel the ball. So if I catch this ball outside my body, I'm going to bring it right back to the middle. And then this hand's going to meet it. And then I separate thumbs down. And those 4 things happen automatically. I don't have to worry about my arm being long. I don't have to worry about where my elbow is. And I don't have to worry about where my hand is. My elbow is even with my shoulder and my hand's on top of the ball. So when I throw the ball, I know I'm going to be behind it. I get the optimum power I can possibly get. So if I see a guy that throws a ball and it starts to tail or dive or sink or go up the first baseline, I just have to walk by him and say, funnel, thumbs down. Okay. And that says, oh, maybe I took this ball to the side a little bit. Or maybe I've got low. Maybe I funneled to my belly button. So when my hands broke, my arm was low, my elbow was down, I was on the side. All the infielder has to do is say, I got to just get the ball to the middle. Just get the ball to the middle is all he has to think about then. Funnel, thumbs down. And all those things happen automatically.
It's interesting you say that because I'm trying to reminisce on, and part of my reason for bringing you on is what you just said. Like I went through the what we call the yips. I had trouble throwing it, and it was more of what you just said. It was around the first baseman, but it was always sinking or it was cutting or sailing. Probably more sinking than anything. But I'm trying to think when you said out loud. I've heard thumbs down before, but that was way after I played shortstop and moved to the outfield. But that
Hmm.
just that little part there makes perfect sense to get you in
Right.
line. It's almost like a push-up position, but you're
Right.
there.
If you stop any pitcher in the frame, and pitchers take the ball down and if you stop it at some point, you're going to see them just like this. You're going to see elbow, shoulder, shoulder, elbow, all in a straight line at some point. And that's what we want to do. But here's my contention, Chad, is I don't want to have to think about that.
Correct.
I got Mike Trout running down the line. I got 70 feet to play with. I can't worry about if I'm lined up. But if I funnel thumbs down, it's there.
Just happens automatically.
It's there. I don't have to think. So the key word there is funnel. That's the third F.
Yep.
And the key under that is thumbs down. Thumbs down give you the front side. Thumbs down keeps your arm short, keeps your elbow the same height as your shoulder, and it keeps your hand on top of the ball. Never have to worry about those things ever again.
Love it. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. So what's the fourth F?
The fourth F. This is the last kind of long one. 5 and 6 are like 30 seconds each. So now you're ready to throw the ball. Footwork. You throw with your feet. And so I funneled and thumbs down. Now, while I'm funneling, 3 and 4 happen at the same time. So as I'm doing the third F funnel, now my footwork starts. Now, this is probably where it gets a little edgy for me. Whoever's listening, you included, Chad. The thing about our game is everybody has an opinion. Everybody has a way of doing things. And I never criticize another coach. Coaching is hard. You get put under the microscope, and coaching is hard. It's very hard. And I never criticize anybody, what they do or how they do it. But the beauty of our game is there's a whole lot of different opinions on way to do things. And so I have my opinion. And my opinion has worked for me for about 3 or 4 decades. So I also teach by what I call, can I get off the subject here just a second?
Absolutely.
Because this footwork is really kind of probably a controversial type thing for me. I teach by what I call CPE. CPE is, the C stands for conviction. I have conviction in what I teach. People or players will ask me why this, why that. I always have an answer for them. Always. You can ask me anything you want, Chad. I have an answer for you. And I have a conviction. It's going to be really hard for you to change my mind because I can show you why it works, in my opinion.
Right.
I have a passion. That's the P. Passion is why I teach. Conviction is what I teach. Passion is why I teach. I love the game just like you do. That's why I teach. I have a passion for the game. And the E is energy. Energy when I teach.
Mm-hmm.
Players feed off coaches. When I walk in that clubhouse, I never stop talking. I'm loud, I'm obnoxious, I'm a screamer, but I refuse to let my players not have energy. And so if I have energy, they kind of follow along. If they don't, then I get in their butt, and they know that. So I tell my players, don't walk in that clubhouse door until you're ready to play.
Right. That's awesome.
If you got to stay out in the car for an extra 30 minutes, and you stay out there. But once you step in that clubhouse door, it's time to work. So with that in mind, my footwork thing is I believe in it wholeheartedly, and I've seen guys who have had the yips get fixed because of footwork.
Mm-hmm.
You throw with your feet, you don't throw with your arm. And so when I catch the ball and I'm funneling it, I don't like guys to put their right foot in front of their left foot. I don't like them to take their right foot put it behind.
Okay.
So if they're left-handed, I don't like the left foot going in front of the right. I don't like the left foot going behind. Here's the reason why, Chad. If you picture yourself at shortstop and you're fielding a ground ball, so your left shoulder is facing out toward right field, the right field line. They don't have bullpens on the field anymore, but it'd be like down toward the bullpen. If you catch that ball and your first step with it is with your right foot, your left shoulder's in the same spot it was in.
Right.
You haven't got any closer to first base, and you haven't got any direction. You want your left shoulder facing first base, correct?
Correct.
Correct. And if you're a left-hander, obviously you're going to be a first baseman. You want your right shoulder facing second base. Well, if you put your left foot in front of your right shoulder, it hasn't moved. It's still facing out toward left field. So to me, that's a wasted movement. And the same thing happens if you put it behind. You're not going anywhere. It's my contention is that, I talked about the 70-foot thing earlier, is that I got to get to 2 Ds as quickly as I can. And the two Ds are distance and direction. As an infielder, I have to get distance toward my target, and I got to get direction toward my target as quickly as possible. So here's my argument against the people who cross their feet. If I told you, Chad, to get at first base and take a secondary lead, would you cross your feet on a secondary lead to get to second base?
No.
Why?
Let's shuffle.
Okay, why would you not cross your feet? I mean, what was the theory to cross your feet?
You're out of control for just that split second.
You're up in the air and you can't do anything till you come back down.
Yeah.
Then you're going to be out of control. Exactly. So the quickest way to get the 2 Ds towards second base, distance and direction, is to put your left foot where your right foot is, but at the same time, take your right foot towards second base. So you're always under control, you're always balanced, and now you're gaining distance and direction to your next target, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Same thing as an infielder. Once I catch that ground ball and start to funnel it, my right foot's going to go where my left foot is, but at the same time, my left foot's going to go toward my target. And that gives me the 2 Ds automatically. I'm gaining more than my body height. Chad, you're what, 6'2", maybe?
Yep.
If you replaced your feet right to left, left to target, and I put where your right foot is when you caught the ball, where your left foot is when you throw the ball, I could have you lay down and outstretch your arms, and you still couldn't cover that distance. Right. Meaning we're talking about close to 7 feet. Time you outstretched your hands, your arms.
Yeah.
Now that's one step. Right to left, left to target gives me the 2 Ds, distance and direction. And you're covering 7 feet worth of ground to get closer to first base. Picture the guy that catches the ground ball now, and now he goes with his right foot first. Now his left shoulder is still in the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when his left foot comes down, he may be lined up, but he's only gone like 3 feet. He hasn't got any closer to first. Those are the guys that throw with all arm.
Okay.
Then they got to take another one. They may end up where you are, but it takes them 3 steps. You got there in 1. And I'm working with 70 feet.
Right.
So
yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I mean, it's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, totally.
It's a no-brainer to me. And it's the same thing if you're left-handed. It's left to right, right to target. They both move at the same time. But if you do that, you get the 2 Ds at the same time. Now, the first baseman's not going to play all the way back and ever throw that ball to third base. But if he were to go left to right and his right goes toward third, it's going to take him right to third base with distance and direction. If you never cross your feet, you always get the 2 Ds. If you cross your feet, you only get one of the Ds. You got to make up the other D somewhere else. And my conviction is that if I can replace my feet, I can do all that in 1 step. If you cross your feet, it's going to take you 1 or 2 extra movements to get back to where I am. And that's another one of my sayings I talk about all the time. Less movement, less chance of error. Can I cut out all this other unnecessary stuff I don't need to make it to where it's simpler, where I have less I can screw up, so there's less error I can commit. So the keys here are, the 4th F is footwork. And so if I see a player cross his feet or that he's hopping or skipping, I just walk by and say, footwork, replace, one word.
Right.
If I replace my feet, I get the 2 Ds, distance and direction. So I don't have to say distance, direction, don't cross your feet because you're not going anywhere, your shoulder's not moving. All that stuff I just talked to you about, I never have to say again. All I have to do is say, replace your feet, replace your feet.
That's
And
awesome.
and then just, so it just declutters the infielder's mind.
Yeah. I love it. Simplify.
Yeah.
Less is
Simplify.
more.
Less is more. Less is more. 5 and 6.
5 and 6. We got 2 more.
Now you're ready. Now you're ready to throw the ball. When I was making this up, Chad, I said, 5 Fs and a T just doesn't have a catchy ring to it. So I thought, and I said, when I was in Little League, I used to say, fire it in there. Fire that rock in there. Fire it. So I said, that's it, fire. So now I funneled, thumbs down, I replaced my feet, I got distance, direction. Now I'm ready to fire it. And as soon as I feel the release of the ball, the 6th F, follow it. 1 or 2 more steps after I throw the ball, after I fire the ball. That increases the carry and the accuracy. Omar Vizquel, David Eckstein, how those guys can play shortstop because they prepared the ball. They're always behind it. And once they released it, they always followed it. They gave it extra carry, extra accuracy. And it also prevents the guys who recoil, the guys who, once their left foot hits the ground, they throw it and then they snap back.
Right.
Now they don't get as much carry. Now those guys get away with it, like I mentioned earlier, when they're in high school, maybe in college, because they're the better players, they got the stronger arms. Guys aren't, they may have 2 or 3 guys on each team that can run. Now when they get to our level, or in professional baseball, there are a lot of good players. Mm-hmm. If you recoil, you're not giving yourself a fair chance of the optimum power and the optimum carry of your throw. The other thing too is, Chad, is the guys in high school that throw it and snap back. They're the ones that can end up with sore arms. And if it's not corrected and they get stronger and have a lot of torque, a lot of arm speed, those are the guys that get hurt. Those are the guys that hurt their elbows, hurt their shoulders. And, I, knock on wood, I haven't had an infielder in 30 years with a sore arm because we throw every day by clock. I make them throw. Okay. We do our infield drills every day. And as long as you throw correctly, and as long as you throw a lot, you build arm strength, you maintain arm strength. The players who get sore are the ones who don't throw enough and the ones who throw incorrectly. Those are the guys that get sore arms and say, can I just take the ground balls today and pitch them to the side? Mm-hmm. Because they're not throwing correctly, or they haven't thrown enough and they get sore. So that's the 6 Fs.
Love it.
So during the course of the game now, when all that's explained, the first 2 days of spring training, that's it. The explanations are done. Now it's all one word coaching.
That's interesting because as you're saying the 6 Fs, your 2 Ds, I'm also thinking about, what are coaches doing that you're seeing that it's just it's too much complication. They're giving him too many words. What do you see in your experience there?
Well, once again, I don't like to because I know people just probably criticize the crap out of me, and that's fine. I understand. I got really thick skin, but I think you have to guard against getting too wordy.
Too wordy. Yep.
You've got to declutter the mind. Yeah. And I'm too wordy for about 2 days a year.
But you got to tell them what it is, especially the new.
Well, that's my red clay. Yeah. That's my rebarb, and that's my concrete. Yeah. And then after that, 2 days, I build my foundation. The rest of the time, I just have to flick a light on whatever room I go in. Feet, follow, funnel, footwork, replace. Then it all becomes one word, And then if it gets confused, then if I just act it out with them, it just clicks in. Now, the beauty about me is, every infielder I had last year is returning. So it's spring, it speeds up. They all know everything I just talked about. Mm-hmm. So it's, there's not any real big, long explanations. And so another thing is if you can have a program and you can start it at the rookie level and teach it that way.
Hmm.
So by the time these guys, obviously rise up the ladder and get to the big leagues, they already know the stuff. It's hard enough to play the game as it is, Chad, without trying to learn new stuff at the big league level. So if you already know the theories and the whys and the system and the program, that's just one last thing. You've decluttered your mind. Now you're here. Let's let your talent surface and play.
Love it. Love it. You mentioned some of the things you do. So you go through your 6 Fs, and then you have certain drills that you do with your players that are kind of a daily occurrence for you.
Absolutely. As you well know, everything at the big league level and is on a schedule.
Hmm.
You're going to lose big league players. You're going to lose every player, I think, if you keep them out there 3 or 4 hours a day. You're going to lose them.
Yeah.
You're going to lose them. I don't care. Yeah, I don't care if they're 9 years old. The attention span of an 8, 9-year-old is not very long anyway.
Hmm.
And then as you get higher, the 3 and 4 hour practices, you end up guys standing in the outfield just on their legs all the time.
Hmm.
So everything is done by schedule. We stretch. Anyway, the bottom line is when we get to the infield part or the individual defense, I get 20 minutes a day, whether it's in spring training or during the season. I get 20 minutes. I got to make sure that 20 minutes counts.
Right.
I don't have time to do a ground ball routine, Chad, and stop the drill and talk about funnel, thumbs down. I don't have time. I'm going to eat up my 20 minutes in a heartbeat. And I got a lot of things to cover.
Yeah.
So what I do is I bring guys out in increments of 15 minutes and I throw the ball against the wall, the old wall ball.
Okay.
I throw the ball against the wall and we do the ready position. We glide into the ball. We right, left to make a wide base. We funnel, thumbs down, footwork, replace our feet, make work, we fire the ball, act like we're following the ball. So we do everything against the wall before we even put on our uniforms and stretch. This happens at 6:30 in the morning.
So this is early.
So yeah, this is actually the rookies are first, and the guys, like the Kyle Seagers are the latest, like at 8 o'clock, 8:15. So we throw the ball against the wall, and you can do the regular ground balls. I can put the player to the side. I can throw the ball at an angle, and he's working on his forehand, where he funnels it back, lets his feet catch up. I can throw the ball at an angle and work off his backhand. I can get him close to the wall and just throw the ball off against the wall and let him catch the ball deep like he's turning a double play. I can throw the ball against the wall and act like you're a second baseman, catch it and replace your feet to throw the ball to the shortstop at second base. I can do everything against the wall, everything. So in the course of 15 minutes of that, I can get in 50 ground balls and I can get in 10 to 15 specialty ground balls.
Mm-hmm.
I can back the player way up and I can throw the ball against the wall. I'll throw it softly. Now he can work on his footwork on a slow roller. So I can do anything I want against the wall. So before we even stretch, this player has over anywhere from 80 to 100 ground balls. And that's, if I have to stop the drill then and teach, that's when I do the teaching.
Okay.
Against the wall. And then after we stretch and play catch, when we break to go to our individual defenses, I don't have to worry about teaching. My teaching was already done at 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock, 7:15. So now my drill work should work smoothly because we've already reviewed everything in the morning. Now, if something goes wrong, I don't stop the drill. I make a mental note that I didn't like Dylan Moore's backhand toss. I didn't think it was going uphill enough. So I'll remember that, and I may keep him after the workout for 10 minutes and go over on the side field and try to fix that. Don't let it get out of control.
So you're noticing something as minute as fielding the ground ball, and you said his didn't have enough uphill trajectory toward it. Maybe it was dying. Are you one that when you, I guess the backhand, because I remember being taught with the backhand, you wanted to, you're not like flipping the ball with your hand or doing that. It's more of a knuckleball, like you're pushing it that way. So it's kind of just sitting there. It's easy to see from the player receiving it. Is that kind of how you teach that too?
Yes, I talk about, like I said, I always try to give the player an example.
Okay.
So like a visual, because I was a visual learner, as I talked about. Yeah. So I always tell the player, you can't pinball it. you can go to the pinball machine and you can hit the buttons on the side.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell that ball to go, you can hit that ball up to the front of the machine every time if you wanted to. But if I said, Chad, hit that button over there on the left, you couldn't do it.
Mm.
You could get it up there, but
Right.
you can't control it. So the guys who have a floppy wrist when they do the backhand toss, they can get it over there, but it may be low, it may be high, it may be left, maybe right. I want the ball to go between the shortstop's shoulders every time so he can catch the ball against his chest. If he catches it left or right, he's got to catch it and bring it down. That's the less movement I'm looking for.
Right.
I don't want that movement. If it happens, it happens. The shortstop knows to catch it up here and get it to the middle of his body. But if I can toss it between his shoulders to begin with, he can keep his hands back here and already catch it. I've already funneled for him.
Mm-hmm.
Now all he has to do is move his feet to throw the ball to first base for the double play. So I teach exactly what you said. My thumb goes underneath the ball. My wrist is stiff. There's no pinball.
Right.
My wrist stays stiff. And as I release the ball, my fingers go up in the air like I'm going to say hi to you on the street. If my fingers stop when they go, you can see the trajectory of my hand. It goes up in the air.
Yeah.
So it's going from low to high, high, high. So I tell the players, stiff wrist, say hi to your buddy like you're walking down the street. Hi. You don't say hi like this.
Right.
You don't say hi like this. You don't say hi like that. You say hi like that. That takes the ball from low to high, the trajectory we just talked about. And you have a better chance of that shortstop being able to catch that ball against his chest so he doesn't have to funnel. Less movement, less chance of error. So those are the things I do against the wall before I go out on the field so I can make sure that I get 20 minutes of repetitions and 20 minutes of good quality work.
Absolutely. So I hope the youngsters are listening to this, take that to heart. So even the big leaguers, they're throwing balls against the wall and fielding ball like we did as kids, as
Yes.
8, 9, 10-year-olds. When we
Right.
thought that was boring, like, oh, actually, big leaguers are still doing this.
Right. Well, if you get on my Twitter account, you'll see it happen.
Well, where can you guys follow you on Twitter?
I'm at phill_bone.
Okay.
So obviously, if you just type my name in, it'll come up. But you'll see that I coach Billy Ripken in Texas, and he's with the network, and they came out one day last spring, before the thing was halted, and they filmed the wall ball thing. So it's on film. I have a clip of it on my Twitter account.
Okay.
Yeah. It starts at. You'll see the guys out there in t-shirt and shorts because it's like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that's great because it just shows the fact that like even these minor leaguers that get up to the big leagues and the big leaguers themselves, they're still doing the fundamentals of the game. They don't change. It's just a matter if you still want to do them or not, right?
Well, a couple of things there, Chad. Number one is great players never get bored with fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
Yep.
And it's my job as a coach to make sure that doesn't happen. I tell my players all the time that last thing I need is a 27-year-old friend.
Mm.
I don't care.
Skills, right?
Yeah, I don't care if you like me or not. This is what we're going to do. Yeah. Players want to know, as Chad, you're a player and a really good one. Players want to know 4 things. What are we going to do? Why are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? And when are we going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
So I tell the players on opening day of spring training, this is what's going to happen every single day. We're not going to deviate. If we don't hit one day, we're still doing our ground ball routine. We're doing it 162 games. So don't ask. This is what's going to happen. Don't ask. So when they walk in the door every day, they know what's going to happen. They know what to expect, and there's never any problems. But I think a lot of times where coaches get in trouble is when they start seesawing, well, we won't do it today. Okay, we'll do it tomorrow. And then the players are, now they're thinking, well, shoot, I got some leeway. Maybe I can talk my way out of this.
Yeah.
And I just don't, I don't subscribe to that. And once again, that's just me. Some people are listening to this saying, oh, that's not right. You got to give a guy a break every once in a while.
Yeah.
But, we do. It's called an off day. But if we're at the park, we're going to work.
So that's interesting. Let me ask you, because when you talk to young athletes and players, they talk about, I want to work hard. I want to work harder than everybody else. I want to go take an hour of ground balls. Say you're in high school what is the proper, maybe there's not one right answer and everyone's different, of course, but big leaguers are taking maybe 20 minutes in spring training, like really focused work. What would you say to a high school kid that wants to work hard, but maybe an hour is too much? What do you think on that?
Well, I either throw the ball against the wall or I roll more balls than I ever hit, Chad.
Yeah.
Either throw them off the wall or I roll them. I want to make sure that they have the proper fundamentals, the 6 F's, before they step out on the field. It does me no good to hit a guy 100 ground balls when he's doing 50 of them wrong.
Correct.
So I throw the ball against the wall or they roll them, and I want to see everything perfectly before I even step out on the field. So if he wants to get out on the field and field the balls, and he's going to have to convince me he's ready to do that. And once you get out there, all you need, if you do them correctly, 25 or 30 is all you need. You don't have to be out there an hour. Then you can work on your base running, or you can take more swings, or you can budget your time better, is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely.
If you have a program and have a system of what you're going to do. So, different guys have different things. And like I said, people are not going to like what I do, but I throw the ball against the wall or I roll them the balls before I even think about going out on the dirt. As a matter of fact, this wall ball is done against a wall and we're on concrete. We're not even close to a field. You don't earn the field, right? You don't, in tennis shoes, right? You don't earn the field until you master the wall.
Like that. That's great. Yeah, I'm just kind of curious because I think the youngster, maybe they don't know any better, that they think they need to go take an hour or 2 hours of ground balls. And I think if you're planning on playing the game a long time, that you're going to wear out, like physically, and I think mentally as well. And I've always been a believer of very focused, like you said, 20 to 30 ground balls. That can be done in 5 to 10 minutes, right? Where it's very focused and you know what you're doing. That player might say, well, maybe I'll take 60 to double the work of the other player. So those are just, I guess, mind games you can play with yourself to double the effort, if you will. But I also think too, big leaguers, they do have a better idea what they're doing. It's like hitting, right? You don't need 100 swings. You might take 30, 40 swings. You're like, I'm good. I feel locked in. I'm good to go. So you think fielding's the same way, essentially?
Yes. Well, yeah, in our case, they're going to get their 100 ground balls. About 70 of them are going to be against the wall.
Right.
To warm up and make sure I see everything I want to see. It may not be the on the field, on the dirt, on the grass with the classic fungo, but they're going to get the number they want. But they're not awarded the field until they win the wall.
Cool. I like that. That's good. Very cool. Well, that's great. Do you have any other, you got the 6 F's, the 2 D's, these are great. And I love how it's all right and correct. And it's very simple, and it's easy to remember the decluttering, especially for these young players. And I think the more we talk about this, the big leagues is the same way. You're on the big stage trying to do these big things. You can't think about all these things either when you're trying to perform and compete and do all these things. So, any other advice that maybe we didn't touch on quite yet that you'd love to share?
No, Chad, it's a fun game, but I think sometimes we try to make it too hard. It's a hard game. Don't get me wrong, but I think that we need to help the players declutter their minds so their abilities can just take over. I think sometimes we make players think too much. And I was guilty of that for a long time. And that's basically why I try to come up with the 6 F's. So like I said, after the first 2 or 3 days of spring training, unless you've been around me, then you already know them. And then from then on, it's a 1 or 2 word trigger phrase that kicks in all that on your memory. And you don't have to listen to me babble, which they don't like to do anyway. So, and plus it kicks in those things, and they can make the adjustments themselves. And we always talk about big league players are the ones who can make adjustments on the fly. And so, if I see something, I always talk about this too. And here's the younger players too about this it's really a pet peeve of mine. You get 27 practice ground balls during the course of a game. Usually when the pitcher's warming up between innings, the first baseman has the time. He usually has time to roll each guy 3 balls. So 3 times 9 is 27.
Right.
You get 27 practice ones. If I see one of our players catch the ball and just stand straight up and flick the ball over there, I'm waiting for him at the top step of the dugout the next inning at the major league level, because that's not the way we do things. Field it, funnel it, thumbs down, replace your feet. You can even back off and make one into a backhand if you want.
Right.
You can even back off and just kind of glide toward it and work on a slow roller if you want. But you get 27 of those a game, 27 practice. Use them.
It's funny you say that, because when I would scout, and I was in particular scouting that one infielder, I would watch what he would do in between innings. You know, just, is he still focused, or is he just kind of flipping the ball around?
Right.
Not really doing what he should be doing, and so pissed off at his at bat or something like that. So
right.
It's interesting you bring that
yeah.
up.
Yeah. You know, that's a big thing for me too, is you know, separating offense from defense.
Yeah.
And and it's, a lot of times I'll just ask the player, if you don't want to field, you're looking at 15 jobs. Yeah. Well, I guess 30 now. The DH is in both leagues, but you get a chance. There's 6 infielders usually on a major league team, and so you're looking at 180 jobs. But if you just want to be a DH, you're down to 30. So you're really, So
your odds are better than
right? So So what would you do? You want to, you might want to take this a little bit more seriously.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, Perry, this has been awesome. Everything I expected. This is very, very informative, and these kids. I agree. They kind of have these look on their eyes like, I don't either know what I'm doing. That's kind of how I felt when I was going through some stuff as a minor league infielder, and that didn't have that foundation and kind of couldn't quite find it. So that simplicity, what you just shared, I would have. If you were around when I was 17, 18, 19, that would have been really awesome.
Well, what I was talking about, guys can like tweak it. I'm not a big pat guy, but NFL quarterbacks, they pat the football. I'm not going to tell Tom Brady he can't pat the ball, but I get several infielders who will funnel and thumbs down, and they'll pat the ball and take it back again. But I don't see that's a tweak. They can do that if that's their thing, to get rhythm and timing. I don't take that away from them. It's not the way I would do it, but the fact is they tap and then they get it back to thumbs down where all that stuff happens again. That's their little thing. I don't try to clone them. Now, if they tap it and take it away from their body, then that's when I might say something.
Sure. But
there's certain things like that I, it's okay. Just do your thing. Go off on your thing. If that gives you rhythm, fine. I'm all for it. So there's certain things that guys can do that that works for them. I'm all in.
Perfect. That's great. Well, man, I wish you guys the best of luck. I told you, with Jerry DePoto's your GM over in Seattle. He was the GM that answered my beck and call when I was trying to get into the scouting world, and helped me get hired with the Angels. So I appreciate him, and Scott Service is over there now.
Two good men.
Laker still over there?
Two great baseball men. I'm sorry?
Is Tim Laker still over there?
Yes, he's a hitting coach.
He's a hitting coach.
Yes.
Yeah. So Tim
he's my locker mate. He's right next to me, locker. Yeah.
Yeah. Please tell him hello.
We were
in Nashville for a little while, and I love Lake. He's a great dude. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your time, man. This is great. You ever get out to Vegas, give me a holler, and we'll get you down at the new facility. Maybe we'll get you out for a camp or a clinic or something. So we'll see how that.
I'd love to. I'd be there in a heartbeat, Chad. Just give me a call.
Awesome. Well, hey, best of luck to you. Again, where can people follow you on Twitter? Can you say that one more time?
Yes. P Hill _bone. BONE, like dog bone.
Like dog bone. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And a lot of times during the season, I'll put plays on there, and I'll actually dissect the play according to the 6 Fs. Perfect. So there's a lot of stuff on there.
Perfect. Okay. So infielders out there, make sure you get on the Twitter machine and follow this guy. That's great. Awesome. Well, Perry, I appreciate your time again, man, and best of luck to you in the Mariners this year.
Okay. Thanks, Chad. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. We'll see you.
Okay.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that with Perry Hill. Man, that was awesome, right? The 6 Fs. Hopefully that simplified things for you if you've been trying to work on things from an infield standpoint. I played the infield, I was drafted as a shortstop. I did not have those things. We certainly worked on some fundamentals, but to break it down into simplicity of 6 Fs and just kind of really focus on that, then you had the 2 Ds. So hopefully you got a lot out of that. I appreciate Coach Perry Hill coming on board. So make sure you follow the Seattle Mariners. I believe he's going to be the first base coach for them. So make sure you follow him also at Perry Hill underscore bone or just Perry Hill. You'll find him on Twitter. So thanks again for coming on the show today, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care.